Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SellerSpeak. I'm Ankitha Nagaraj. I head the customer success team at SellerApp. So we've come across quite a few cases where Amazon sellers have been taken to court and sued heavily for minor damages their products have caused their customers. So this often happens because Amazon sellers fail to insure the products and decrease liability on their business. So today we have Ashlin Hadden with us today on our SellerSpeak session. Welcome to our show, Ashlin. We're very happy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Ashlin will educate us on the importance of e-commerce insurance and why is it so important for us to insure our business assets. Ashlin has about 16 years of experience in the insurance and banking industry, and she operates and owns Ashlin Hadden Insurance Agency, which is a one-stop solution for everything e-commerce insurance. And also with over a decade of experience, especially in the insurance industry, she's developed a keen eye to foresee risks and liabilities, and she goes out of her way to mitigate them and provide the best solution possible. She's also spoken in several seller conferences like GS Summit, Prosper Show, etc., where she educates everybody on the importance of insurance. So let's get started.
I promise I won't bore you too much.
We're very sure of that. So you've been in the insurance business for a long time now. Can you tell our viewers how you became interested in e-commerce insurance in particular?
So when I first got into insurance, I was doing more of like the auto, home, life insurance. And I had a current client came to me, Chris Wilkie, he runs FBA Masters Facebook group. And he came to me and was like, hey, Ashlin, Amazon's changed the rules. We need this new insurance policy. Can you help me? And I was like, no way. I don't want anything to do with it. None of the carriers like e-commerce sellers. Like, I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
And about a month later, he came back to me. He's like, please, Ashlin, please, will you help me? And I was like, there's no money in it. It's going to take me forever to find a carrier willing to do it. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll see what I can do. That was my famous words. I'll see what I can do. So then I was able to find a carrier that would do it. He got his policy issued, and then he came back to me and he's like, oh, by the way, I run this Facebook group. There's 15,000 of us that are going to need this insurance. Can I post your information? So then I was like, 15,000 people that are going to need this?
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth my time now. So I kind of started that way, and then really started going to the conferences and seeing how much you guys really are the red-headed stepchildren. The insurance company really doesn't like you guys. And I felt like I could be a voice for such a big community. And I really just fell in love with how much you guys really, truly care about each other and really care about helping each other. And so it's like one big happy family. And I've never seen that like in any other industry. So I really just fell in love with you guys. And I still do the auto and home insurance and that kind of stuff, but you guys have kind of become my baby. And I do so much with you because I love what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. When I got into the e-commerce world as well, that was the first thing that struck me. I joined so many of these groups, and I saw so many of these, so many sellers posting questions and others giving them advices. You know, they don't literally get anything back, but they yet give advices and help each other out. It's like a very good community. It's very nice.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first we'll cover some basics. As you know, a lot of e-commerce sellers may not be aware that there are insurance solutions out there that can help protect their businesses. So based on your experience, what are some of the things that they need to understand before they go about getting their e-commerce venture insured?
Yeah, so the first thing is you need to know if you're a pro seller, so you're paying the monthly fee, it is required on the US platform for you to have a general liability insurance. You signed that you had it when you signed your terms of service. So if you don't have it, you're breaking your terms of service. And we all know how crazy Amazon can be if you break your terms of service. So if you don't have this policy, you could get suspended if they find out. So number one, if you're a pro seller, you have to have this policy. Number two, think about what you're selling, not what the physical product is made out of, but what you're physically selling and what the risks of that are. For example, I had a client come to me who is selling one of those like baby Bjorns. It's like the fabric that you wrap around your body and you stuff your child in it. And the policy came back and she's like, Ashlin, why is this so expensive? It's just a yard of fabric. And I said, that's right. But that yard of fabric is responsible for holding a human child 4 feet off the ground. So I get that it's a yard of fabric, but it's also used to hold a child. So think about what the use of your product is, and how someone can get hurt on it before you just say, well, this is a low risk product because it's a yard of fabric. Yeah. Another one is, don't compare your price with somebody else's. I see a lot of people in the Facebook group say, well, I'm only paying $700 a year, or $800 a year, whatever they're paying. And clients come to me and say, well, Joe Schmo is only paying $800. Why am I paying $1,000? Again, you can't compare your price to someone else because you're not selling the exact same products. You're not sourcing from the same suppliers, and you don't have the same exact sales. So everybody's price is different. We look at what you're doing, where you're sourcing, and where your sales are from, and that determines what your price is. So stop asking everybody else what their price is. Just trust that we are based on those things. So, and yeah, that's good for like the basic, how to start.
Interesting. So this is, I think, one of the aspects that a lot of sellers don't go into, understanding the consequences of the products. Like you were just giving an example of the baby yarn, and how it's going to so if the product actually malfunctions, nobody thinks about what happens after. Right? Exactly. Like when I talk to sellers, all they can actually think about is it going to get broken during shipping, or is it going to get bad reviews because, maybe it'll just not work. But nobody thinks about the fact that this could actually hurt another human being, which is very important, I think.
You get a bad review, maybe you're going to lose $40, $50.
Yeah.
Your child falls on the ground and gets hurt, you're going to lose millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about bad reviews. Stop worrying about your product getting lost in shipping, and start worrying about your assets.
Yeah.
You have worked so hard to build this business. You don't want to take it away with one idiot who decides to sue you.
Absolutely agree with you. This is so, I'm getting so educated about various things that are related to product, this is good. So sellers can also get worried because most assume that e-commerce insurance is so complicated and expensive, like you said. So how do you go about convincing sellers that insurance is not as complex as it seems?
Well, the first part is, I hope never to convince you. I hope our service speaks for itself. But the big thing that sets us apart that is, I'm at 30 plus conferences for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're doing. I know how you're sourcing. My team knows what you're doing. So to make it less complicated for you and less questions that we have to ask, we know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So we've streamlined the process because we do hundreds and hundreds of these a month. It's a lot easier and quicker for you. And you don't have to explain what FBA is. You don't have to explain what private label is, or white label is, or wholesale is. We already know that. So it's time savings for you. The application is streamlined now. So there's just very few questions that you have to answer. We get to know your business a little bit, like where you're sourcing, are you using a prep center, that kind of stuff. But the questions are streamlined. If you walk into a State Farm and you say, hey, I'm selling FBA, and they're like, let's FBA, you're going to have to sit there and explain it and hope that that agent puts you in the right class code to keep you covered. So really, that's the big thing, is having an agent that knows what you're doing to really streamline that and take that time away from you.
Definitely. So do these, are there different types of insurances based on business models, or how does it work?
Yeah. So depending on how you're sourcing, we recommend other additions. So you are required to have the general liability, and that's just going to protect what you do or say as a business. We always add product liability to that. That's going to cover what your products do to harm someone else. So if you sell something and it hurts someone or someone's personal property, if you don't have product liability, that all comes out of your pocket. So those are the two major ones that you have to have for RA, OA, wholesale, and private labels. Some other things that we look at to add to is like product recall. If you have a private label product and that product, you have a claim, or you're finding that the product is not doing well or is hurting people, you can add product recall, and we'll help you get those products out of the consumer's hands before it hurts somebody else and you have another lawsuit. Other big things that we see is you guys are online all day, every day. Some run their own websites and are collecting credit card information, addresses, things like that. So cyber insurance is huge right now, making sure that you protect your computer system so that information doesn't get into the wrong hands. And a lot of you source in your own vehicle. So if you're out in your own car sourcing, taking stuff to UPS, things like that, if you're in a car accident in your personal vehicle on business time, that might not be covered by your insurance company. So you need to look at things like commercial auto insurance. You have workers, you need workers' comp insurance. So there's all kinds of things that you possibly could need. And that's why we spend the time to get to know your business and your business model. And we build that policy around you. If you don't have workers, we're not going to sell you workers' comp. If you're not using your vehicle for personal use, then we're not going to sell you auto insurance. So filling out that application and telling us what you're doing, that's going to allow us to build that policy around you and kind of keep those risks at bay.
Got it. Okay, interesting. There are so many different types of insurance models.
Yes, that's why you have someone who knows what you're doing.
Which is great, you know, like I guess when you go to any other insurance agents who are not very aware of the e-commerce models or FBA, like you were saying, or drop shipping, etc., it gets very hard to explain, right? And also for like commoners like us, it's very hard to understand that there are so many different models and which is what is best for us, you know. Which, I mean, it's great to have you work for us.
Yeah, I love what I do.
Absolutely. So which actually brings us to the next question. Is there any people who have small businesses who do not have full-fledged operation with many employees and logistical partners can also insure their business, or does it apply only for like big businesses and enterprises?
Yeah, no. So as soon as you sign up for an Amazon account, you should have this policy in place, because your first shipment could be the one person that decides to sue.
Right.
I'll talk a little bit about claims in a little bit, but it only takes one person. And in the US, we are such a sue-happy country. You don't even have to do anything wrong for someone to sue you. So one of the examples I spoke to at Global Sources was this customer of ours shipped a box to their client. UPS laid it on their front porch and they didn't see it, and they tripped over the box and broke his clavicle and broke his hip. And they sued my client, sued Amazon, and sued UPS because he tripped over a box. My client didn't have anything to do with this idiot tripping over a box, but we still had to defend him in a lawsuit. And it cost $32,000 for the attorney just to get his name dropped from the lawsuit. Wow. If this guy didn't have insurance, he would have had to hire the attorney and pay that $32,000 himself. So you don't even have to do anything wrong to be listed in a lawsuit.
Wow, that's quite ridiculous.
Even if you're selling fluffy animals, if you're selling a pin, it doesn't matter what you sell. Someone can still trip over it and sue you.
Wow, that is quite surprising and ridiculous. Like, it's so hard to predict that somebody could sue you anytime. Wow.
Right.
So we've personally seen a few liability cases that made the sellers of those products dig deep into their pockets. Like you were just saying how expensive it can get without an insurance. So what are some of the worst cases that you've seen that has really hurt businesses only because they didn't get their insurance? Like, how expensive can it get?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones is a case that we're working on right now. It's called fraudulent transfer. And how it works is someone hacks into your computer system and intercepts your invoice from your wholesaler to you. So you get an invoice that looks like it's coming from your wholesaler with routing and account numbers for where you're supposed to send your payment to. The hackers intercept that email back and forth and change the routing and account number so it's going to this fraudster's bank account instead of your wholesaler. So the one we've got right now, they sent $180,000 to the wrong person. That person cleaned out that account, ran away with $180,000, and the wholesaler never got their money. So now the wholesaler didn't ship the $180,000 worth of product, and my client's out $180,000 in physical cash that they sent to the wrong person. So that's a huge, huge case. Is when you're doing these things electronically through email, you think you're dealing with the right person, but it's so easy for them to hack into your system, and you don't really know if you're dealing with the right person. So that's a huge one that we're dealing with right now. Hopefully getting that resolved, but that's $180,000 of that customer's out. The other big one that we saw was last year. We had a customer that was selling things RA. They had a watermelon cutter, and the client that bought the watermelon cutter was cutting, and the handle snapped and got their finger caught underneath the watermelon cutter and cut the tip of their finger off. Wow. And they sued Amazon, sued the manufacturer, and sued our client. And again, it wasn't our client's fault per se, because they bought it RA. But we still had to defend them and get their name dropped from the lawsuit. And that, again, was in the $40,000 range. So unless you have a bunch of money sitting in the bank that you want to pay for an attorney, that's what this policy is really going to pay for, that you're going to use it for the most, is to defend you from lawsuits that you aren't really responsible for.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that is a lot of money, 180. Wow. Yeah. So a lot of insurance providers do not serve online trade businesses, as they're used to working for firms with physical locations and have no idea what e-commerce insurance involves, right? So for a person who is just starting his journey online and is very new to selling on Amazon, do you have any tips on how a seller should go about finding a good insurance provider for their business to actually know what they're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, I would love to help. We help everyone from brand new sellers up to private label sellers doing $100 million a year. So, of course, I would love to help. But some kind of tips: stay away from the big box insurance agencies like the State Farms and the Farmers Insurance. They don't do enough of this to know really what to do and how to class you correctly. So try to stay away from those. I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. If you say I'm selling FBA and they don't know what that means, run the other way. Don't sit there and try to explain it. If they don't know what it is, find someone who does. Another tip is ask them if they're sellers themselves. If they're a seller themselves, I would highly recommend finding somebody else. You guys work so hard to keep all of your ASINs quiet. Why would you turn all of that over to an agent who also sells? So you want someone who knows what you know, but doesn't do what you do. You have to tell them manufacturers and your ASINs and your listing, all of that stuff. I wouldn't just hand that over to someone else that is actually selling to. So ask them if they're a seller. If they're a seller, find someone new. And then always feel free to reach out to me. Even if you just have a question or you have a policy already and you're like, hey, Ashlin, does this cover me correctly? I would be glad to look at it. Just say that you heard me on SellerSpeak. I'll review everything for you and tell you, yes, that looks great. Your price looks good, or no, you need XYZ coverage. Ask them about this. So always feel free to reach out to me and ask me questions too.
Awesome. So we're also giving your website link in the description below, which I will which I'll talk about at the end of the session. Okay. Yeah, so I will give your details to them so that they find it easy to reach out to you. So a part of our, I think we're coming to a close on all our insurance related questions. So this is about the Global Sources Summit that you recently spoke at. So part of our team was also present at your talk. They said that you had mentioned that a seller had come to you with a product liability case after the damage had already been done. So can you help such cases as well, or are they like lost costs?
If the damage has already been done, or if the product has already been sold, then we can't cover a past issue. But that doesn't mean we can't get you insured for future issues. Yeah. It's like not having homeowners insurance and calling us when your house is on fire. It just so you have to have the insurance in place before you have an issue. Right. So get it in place quick so you don't have any issues.
Makes sense, definitely. Yeah. So finally, a lot of Amazon experts and sellers recommend you as a go-to broker for liability related cases. So what does the blueprint of your agency look like for the near future?
Question. We've always been a small agency. I've got a good team of girls that work with me. So we're just working now on like efficiency, making sure that we're being efficient as possible and not really growing much in people, because I like to keep it small and intimate. I'm Facebook friends with a lot of my clients, you know, birthday cards and sympathy cards and wedding cards and things like that. I like to be involved in my clients' day-to-day life. So I think we're going to stay pretty small, but we're just going to work on efficiency and making sure things get done quicker and more efficient. And kind of just making sure we stay involved with our customers.
Awesome. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. And thank you so much, Ashlin. It was wonderful talking to you. I learned so much, and I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot as well. And I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of requests after this session asking for your help. Yeah, so that was a really great session again. So okay, I'm going to give you the link to contact Ashlin through her website in the description of this video. And if you do you want to give more details to our viewers?
Sure. Like you can go to www.ecom.insured.
Insure, yeah.
You can Facebook Ashlin D Hadden. Okay. Feel free to personal PM me anytime. So I'm always around.
Awesome. So we'll give your Facebook profile link as well in the description. Yeah?
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you, Ashlin. And if you guys like this video, give us a thumbs up. Do follow our channel on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram for more great content. Do sign up for a 7-day free trial. All you have to do is just go to SellerApp.com and sign up. Thank you so much for joining again. Until next time, thank you.